Okay, so can I talk about Megalopolis for a while? I just need to talk about this with somebody. Okay, so I haven't done one of these in a while. I've wanted to for several different things, but I just never gotten around to it. But Megalopolis, as interesting as I found it, I don't think it's suited to a normal Race the Ramen review. So it's time for another Purpock Ponders, a sort of like um, untimed, extra unscripted Race the Ramen type dealy, where I just discuss something for a while, like opinions and speculations and all that. And today we're talking about Megalopolis, the recently released smash hit Francis Ford Coppola movie that is making very little money, but making big waves in the cinephile community and on Letterboxd and on film Twitter, because everyone who's going to see it is walking out with their mouth agape going, "Was that real?" And yep, it's real.
So go back to the club.
Um, what is it really? I think it's really a 5 out of 10. But what else do I think about it? Okay, so I honestly don't know where to start with this. I haven't seen any other Francis Ford Coppola movies. I'd like to apologize for that right now. I just haven't gone around to it. It's not that I don't want to. I just haven't. I haven't seen the Godfather films. I haven't seen his Dracula or Apocalypse Now. But I know who he is. It's Francis Ford Coppola. He's a big man. Been around a long time. And I didn't do a ton of research for this, but from what I've gathered, he's wanted to make Megalopolis in some form for like 40 years. Like this is like his Mad God. It is his version of Phil Tippett's Mad God, so to speak. It is a dream project, very personal, that was just like too big for the time when he thought of it, and then it kept growing, and I guess he tried to get it made a couple times until eventually he spent his own fortune, a bunch of his own money, to finance this version of the movie that we finally got. Apparently, he leveraged like $100 million against his like winery business. The estimated budget has been anywhere from like 110 million to like 136 million. The widely posted budget is like 120 million. But no matter how you cut it, this isn't a cheap movie. But it looks kind of cheap. I mean, this is the thing that a lot of people are like immediately intrigued by, like in the trailers, all those like digital effects, because that's like a big chunk of the movie. There are sets, like physical sets, that look pretty good most of the time, but like the world itself is basically like, I don't know what he's going for. It's like the fall of ancient Rome, I guess, paralleled against modern Western civilization. It's very explicitly America, and the visuals are like New York City, but like, oh my god, this is one of the, I couldn't do a Race of the Ramen on this, because every time I try and think about one thing in this movie, I'm like, wait, but what about that? There's almost no way for me to do this cohesively. This movie is simultaneously like weirdly like bogged down with complexity and like really simple. I was like halfway through it when I realized that, like, at first I wasn't following the plot very well. I just was having trouble gripping who was important and what it would lead to. But at a certain point, I was like, oh, okay, it's a power struggle, love story type thing between two families, more or less. And we got two main characters. You got Adam Driver and lady whose name I forget. I'm sorry. I'll put her name up on screen. It's just everything around it. It's almost impossible to focus on anything in the movie for too long, because every like 5 minutes I was going like, did that happen? Did I see that? Did I hear that? The whole style of this movie is just so like audaciously like gaudy that it's almost respectable, but it's also like eye-popping. It looks like a movie from 2002 with writing somewhere between 2022 and 1972. It feels like a movie that took 40 years to make, because the era of it feels like bizarrely mixed. It feels like postmodern and anachronistic at the same time. like at one point, I'm sure it was just like the camera like catching it in frame, but there's like no explicit product placement that I took any notice of. But at one point, I just saw like a Dell monitor. I saw the Dell thing on the back. It was the one time I could see it, and I don't think it was intentional. But now I'm not sure because of like all the other like blatantly unsubtle aspects of this movie, right? Oh my god, it's one of those things where it's just so like avant-garde. It feels like a movie that Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make, but no one wanted him to make it, I guess. Not for like an ethical reason, though there are some ethical problems you could have with Francis Ford Coppola, especially in regards to this production. I mean, supposedly this is not true, but he was accused of inappropriate behavior with female actresses on set. He contested this and is apparently suing Variety, who wrote the original article. So I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions either side, but that's messy. Doesn't look great. And from like the movie perspective, there was also like a trailer they put out that they've since deleted, where they put a bunch of like negative quotes about the movie in front of it, like his worst sense, whatever, absolute garbage, cannot see, like trying to make it look like wearing being a disgraced movie or like a poorly reviewed movie is like a badge of honor or whatever, like Gotti or something. But then after not long, people like did some research and realized that none of these quotes were real. Well, some of them are real, but none of them were for reviews of Francis Ford Coppola's movies. Some of them were for reviews of other movies. They had been generated with like Chat GPT or something. And like a couple days afterwards, Lionsgate took the trailer down and tried to scrub it from the internet. Oopsie. Man, weird year for Lionsgate, huh? I mean, I guess I'll give them credit for trying to take, big swings. They can't just be the Saw and Hunger Games people. And C.I. Ape wasn't making them any money. They've been distributing some interesting stuff this year, for better or worse. Borderlands and The Crow. Both huge flops, and I don't think this is going to be doing much for them either, because, again, this movie had like, what, 100 million plus budget minimum, and in its opening weekend, it's made back like 4 million. It's apparently one of the worst opening weekends for a movie of its kind of budget ever. I'm not sure in reference to what else exactly, but I believe it. The theater I was in, just like yesterday, on like a Sunday, it was me. There was a single couple in front of me, no one else, and they seemed excited for the movie before it started. But like by the time it was over, when the credits started rolling, they got up out of those seats and they power walked to the exit. I feel I barely even talked about the movie. Like, it's a hard movie to like actually discuss because it feels simultaneously like super, super dense and paper thin. Oh man, the digital effects in this movie are so prominent and like so big to create these cityscapes, but you don't believe that any of them are like really there. Some of them look good, but they don't feel like part of the mise-en-scène. And the green screen's not terrible either, but it's bad enough that you can like just barely notice that people aren't really where they are. Sometimes it's deeply cinematic, and sometimes it looks like Spy Kids 4. Like, I shit you not, there is a shot in this where they just hang on it for like a minute, and I thought to myself, oh my god, this literally looks like a shot from Spy Kids 4. They're standing on like a giant clock in a city completely generated by CG. Oh. Late 2000s Robert Rodriguez would be proud of you, Mr. Coppola. Here's the weird thing. Like a lot of these things are, negative qualities about this movie. The plot goes up and down. Like the pacing is really weird. The acting is incredibly inconsistent between like everybody. And obviously the effects and the whole visual look of the movie, while unique and interesting, doesn't necessarily look good on a technical level. It's so weird. This movie has sparked a lot of interesting discussion, if nothing else, because I'm seeing people be like, it was a disaster and I loved it. I'm seeing people say it was amazing and I loved it. I'm seeing people say it was well made and I hated it. And I'm seeing people say it was awful and I hated it. Like the full range of reactions. I saw someone on Twitter be like, after that, I might just ditch the 5-star rating. Feels kind of silly now. Like, say what you want about this movie. It's getting people thinking, which is frustrating because it's basically like the entire like climax. I guess this is a spoiler discussion in case I hadn't made that clear, but if I had to like pick like a scene in this movie where I was just like completely checked out, where it lost me the hardest, I hate to say it, it would probably be the climax. When Adam Driver is basically standing on like that Berlin Wall construction barrier between the rest of the city and Megalopolis. That whole speech he gives feels like he's stalling for time. It doesn't even feel like he's talking to the crowd. I don't even know what the fuck he's trying to say. Even after like 2 hours of basically all those same themes being like slapped into my face over and over. I wasn't like completely confused, but I was just like, what is this bullshit? The dialogue really does go back and forth a lot between like surprisingly well written and well executed, because there's some really devoted actors in here. Aubrey Plaza's amazing. Shia LaBeouf is surprisingly good. Jon Voight is bad, but in a way that works. This whole thing is just fucking back on track. What was I talking about? It was that climax is just, it's like everything wrong with the movie and everything that the movie is. It's like inspiration porn styles of like film school student visuals, but with like bizarrely expert composition and use of frame. This movie is made by a person whose individual eyes see two different worlds. You know what I'm talking about? This is a movie made by someone who made it for themselves more than anyone else. Aside from his wife, I guess, there's a dedication to his late wife post-credits. And given like a lot of the plot points of the movie, themes of the movie, I get it. And it makes it even more clear to me that this is a super personal project. And again, I have nothing against that. The guy's old and rich. He might as well spend his own money to make the movie he's always wanted to, that no one else wanted to make for him. And I don't understand the finances of this completely, but if Lionsgate basically got a movie from him that they didn't have to spend anything on, I'd assume that most money they make back is just gravy for them. But again, I don't know shit. I'm just thinking with the basic information I have as a consumer, not having done any like major additional research. Sorry, I was listening into the other side of the frame for a minute. This movie has tied me to this chair, is kicking my ass in the corner, send help. Okay. I've been talking for almost like 15 minutes, and I still feel like I barely talked about the movie. It's just, I should make myself clear. I think I said it my rating earlier. I gave this a 5 because I actually did kind of enjoy it. I was going back and forth the whole time. I was like, oh, this might be bad. This might be good. Oh, this might be really bad. Oh, this might be good. Really good. Bad. Awful. Dog shit. The worst. Good again. This is a real emotional roller coaster. This is a baffling movie. But in that way, I can recommend it to everybody. Like, it's not, like, full of a ton of, like, objectionable content. It's almost just, like, off-putting in the way that it does shit because it wants to and doesn't explain it. Like, Adam Driver can stop time. The main character that Adam Driver plays, he can stop time. It's like the first scene we see, and it has like some like thematic importance to the story, but on like a literal level, there's no explanation for why he can stop time, and like that's okay. But then there's also not an explanation for like one character can see him do this, but other people cannot. Maybe it's meant to be like a romantic thing, like she sees in me what other people don't see. I don't know. I really don't know. This movie is like a Rorschach test. I saw someone say like, whatever you rate this movie, you're right. I completely agree. If you give this movie a 1, you're completely right. If you give this a 10, you're completely right. You give this a 3, a 7, an 8, a 4, whatever. you're completely right. It almost feels like every scene was either something that Francis Ford Coppola kept in his dreams for like decades and decades, something he had envisioned forever of bringing to the screen, while other parts just feel like the actors riffing off of each other or something they decided to do that day on set, or like a joke being played at the expense of the audience. It's like Cirque du Soleil with the Harlem Globetrotters meets Godzilla. It's just a fucking cacophony of a movie. I had a pretty good time with it, all things considered. I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it, and I definitely don't want to see it in theaters again. But I'll give it this. For all its flaws and the fact that I like stuck it right in the middle for, the balance of everything I liked about it and thought was good with everything I thought was bad and weird and dumb and confusing and everything else about it, I'm still talking about it. I'm still thinking about it. Like, it is a thinker, Megalopolis. It may fill you with rage or glee or laughter. I have no idea. This movie is a real curveball. Like, as someone who really likes different and, unique works of art, I appreciate its existence. But goddamn, weird movie, and I cannot guarantee if you'll get anything out of this if you watch this. Like, you at home, the viewer, yes, you, David, and everyone else. But your mileage will really vary. I've said that with lots of different movies, but for real, not even on like an interpretation level. I feel like maybe there's some stuff here that you could take away your own reading of it, but a lot of it's pretty like in your face and fucking blatantly obvious about what it wants to tell you. But like, how much worth you find in this project as it is entirely up to you. Whether you think this is a 1 or a 10, it like describes what you enjoy, what you like, and what you value in a movie. This is like a movie. One of the moviest movies that ever movied, to the point that it's almost impenetrably movie. And I think everyone should go see it. Seriously. I would advise seeing any number of other movies in theaters over this if you have to make a decision. Like, if you only have time to see one or money to see one, like, go see The Wild Robot or Transformers 1 or The Substance. Go see The Substance. The Substance was fucking great. Also, let me know if you want me to do a Purpock Ponders on The Substance or something like that, because I loved that and I'd be happy to talk about it more. Yeah, but if you have the means to patronize the arts, maybe you have Regal Unlimited or AMC Stubs, and can, get a discount on a movie ticket, or you just have a little cheddar to throw around, give Megalopolis a try. I mean, if you really don't think you'll like it, don't do it, because you might feel like you've wasted your afternoon. It's pretty long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and generally fairly slow, even in like the most frenetic and exciting parts of it. But hey, if you're someone who loves unique and strange art, like, you want to check out a thing like A Beau is Afraid or A Greener Grass or A Holy Mountain, something just like totally left field, go for it. This is a wild adventure, bizarro, once in a lifetime, once in a freaking generation kind of weird ass movie. You really got to check it out. You might hate it, you might love it, but I can guarantee, odds are you will never forget Megalopolis, for better or worse. I could say more, but I'm done now. I'm gonna go drink water, and you should too. If you haven't had water today, go drink some. Bye.
So go back to the club.